Hello everyone, as with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're gonna talk about XRP. And I gotta start with this. Mercurio partners with Visa to enable near real-time crypto to fiat off-ramping. Partnership with Visa enables near real-time crypto to fiat off-ramps directly to Visa debit and credit cards. Now, as you see this happening, you always ask yourself, is Mercurio a Ripple partner? And yes, they are a Ripple partner. But Ripple also worked with Visa as well. These are like the last pieces of the puzzle that are getting put in place. If they're not Ripple direct rails, they're Ripple partner rails that will later also utilize RLUSD and XRP. Institutional crypto adoption has passed the point of reversibility, PwC says. So institutional involvement in crypto markets has crossed a point where it can no longer be unwound. It's now past the point of no return. Institutional involvement has crossed the point of no return, the report says, citing growing use of stablecoins, tokenized cash, and on-chain settlement tools across banks, asset managers, and payment firms. What is actually happening is everything's converging. The current financial system and the new financial system. And now that you're seeing crypto get embedded into the current financial system, there's no getting rid of it. There's no going back. This is why I tell you, in 2026, we are going to see institutional adoption happen at a very fast pace. And as it does, it's going to unlock a lot of utility and use case for XRP. And we are going to benefit as XRP holders. The BIS, the Bank for International Settlements, the bank of all banks, is now talking about AI adoption, increasing productivity and wages in European firms, but the gains are unevenly distributed. Medium and large firms see the biggest benefits. Training and software investments play a key role. So what they're focusing on is how fast AI is rising. And the BIS, they are on top of this because they're getting ready to see the rise of the new financial system. And AI is going to play a key part in that as well. But what they're urging now is that everybody starts getting on board with AI because they actually are going to face being left behind because of the lack of innovation. You know, a lot of these companies, they just don't want to move forward. A lot of these institutions, they don't want to move forward. And because they're lagging behind, eventually they're just going to close up shop. You need to stay on pace with technology now if you want to continue operating into the future. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says this is only the beginning as tokenization of everything is underway. Take a listen.
I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board. There's $4.1 trillion of money sitting globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years as we start moving away from traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner.
He wants to digitize everything. And the one thing I got out of this Davos event at the World Economic Forum is they're now pushing AI like never before, and tokenization as well. But whenever I think of Larry Fink talking about tokenization, I also remember that other clip that of him saying that they're going to tokenize private businesses and so on. And when he said that, I'm thinking every single thing is going to become a tokenized asset. So if you buy a house in the future, you're going to have to buy all the tokens associated with that house. You're going to have to hold 100% of the tokens. But take notice, he also talked about tokenizing ETFs. I'm telling you, those Bitcoin ETFs are going to become tokenized assets. I even think BlackRock is going to move forward and eventually tokenize Bitcoin as well. They are going to be running Bitcoin across the XRP ledger and other networks as well. U.S. SEC releases an investor bulletin explaining crypto wallets, storage, and access basics. You know, when you see the SEC doing this, it's such a difference from where we were back at the beginning of 2024. Back then, the SEC didn't even want you to buy crypto. They were telling you it's so risky, you don't want to get involved with crypto at all, while the crypto crackdown was escalating. And Gary Gensler, he was like the worst. You know, the guy knows the benefits of crypto. He sees the value in crypto, yet he steered so many people away from this space while he was at the SEC. It's nice to see Atkins pushing this innovation, helping new investors come into this space. Because, you know, the working class person, they go to work. All they have to do is take a little bit of money every week, put it into this space, and all of a sudden they are on the path to early retirement. Just back from Davos, here's what stood out. This comes from Danelle Dixon over there at Stellar. Take a listen to this.
Hi, everyone. I'm fresh off the plane from Davos. And before I get too far away from my time there, I wanted to make sure and give you my 4 takeaways from Davos 2026. Davos had every large corporation, bank, and every finance giant. And it is clear that financial services are the killer use case for blockchain technology. And maybe even more importantly, what's also clear, the true winner in Davos this year was digital assets. It was talked about across the board, the usefulness of digital assets, how they can make not just the businesses move more seamlessly, but how they can benefit the retail side and the SME side. So it was really great to see that this has now just become mainstream conversation about how digital assets can play such a role in this killer use case for financial services. There's a recognition that the tech is here, but there's still a gap for traditional finance on how to integrate it and what are the real risks associated with it. And one of the constant themes that I was engaged in conversation about was privacy. Institutions care about the privacy of their information. They also care about privacy on the retail side, but we need to be able to make sure in 2026 to solve this for them and to make them much more comfortable with using this technology so the risk of their information and their competitive information getting out is not going to be there for them. Trust was the word that every traditional financial corporation talked about when it came to this tech stack. We need to be able to prove to the industry that blockchain can be a trusted tool. So that's part of our remit moving forward. This is something that all of us collectively really need to go out and demonstrate. And it's not talking the talk, it's actually walking the walk. There was so much discussion about the importance of open public networks and the fact that infrastructure needed to remain open without gatekeepers and toll booths on the edge. So it needs to be much like the internet that we use on the content side of the web. We need to be able to maintain that openness, those permissionless networks, so that everyone feels comfortable using the technology. We don't want financial infrastructure to be able to use this tech stack and then end up in these closed verticals all along the way, because that just sort of ruins the whole game of it.
So that's what she took from Davos. And what I seen was very similar. It's all about now moving forward with bringing digital assets into the traditional financial system and helping the traditional financial system convert over to the digital space. And that's what they're really pushing forward with right now. XRP fan, once this integration happens, XRP 10K to 50K becomes the standard price. And what they're citing is when XRP is integrated into banking and institutional infrastructure. Do you know what it's going to take for XRP to get to 10K? Just 10K, not 50K, 10K. Everything that we've ever talked about over time, Ripple capturing the derivatives market, Ripple stealing a good portion of Swift's business, trillions upon trillions of assets coming on to the XRP ledger, institutional adoption leading us into mass adoption. All of those things have to play out. Now, here's the good news. These things are already happening. We're already on the path of this happening, but it's going to take time to get to the 10K price point. Let's just focus on getting to $10 first. Once we break above $10, I think things are going to change very fast from there. The path to $10 is going to be a struggle. The path from $10 to $100 is going to come a lot easier. The path for $100 to $1,000 is going to be even easier. Because as the price of XRP rises, it's going to be utilized more often when moving value from point A to point B. And you'll also see more adoption of XRP along the way. This is another great clip from Davos, and they're talking about the remittances within Africa, but they're also pointing out how bad SWIFT actually sucks. Take a listen.
On alternatives, can you tell us how that sector of the market is growing?
Yes, no, I think, thank you very much. I want to come back to the 33 trillion number, and it's not clear to me that one needs to dismiss it just because the money velocity is increasing, because that is what 33 trillion is. It's the money velocity. Yes, the base is 300 billion, which is already a big number when you talk about how quickly it has grown. But in Africa in particular, I think there are four positive use cases for it, which is one of the reasons why it's growing so fast. The first one is just about transaction cost and arbitrage. And so far, for the last, I would say, 15 years, one constant agenda item on the G20 has been reduce the cost of remittance transfers. Remittances are more important to Africa than aid has been, and actually cumulatively over the last 3 years, remittances have tripled compared to overall development assistance. So this is how important it is. However, for every dollar that is sent out onto the continent, you have 0.06, so let's say if it's $100, $6 of payments costs in transactions, which is quite expensive. In addition to that, if you're transacting over the weekend, then you have to wait for Monday, right? So if you're a small business transactions person, those 3 or 4 days, sometimes on the continent is actually 5 days in terms of sending resources. With stable coins, it takes minutes and it costs $1. So one of the beautiful things about the Genius Act is really that, it has now created a regulatory framework for stable coins. But the big, beautiful budget was going to start taxing remittances by $5. So you're going to add already 6%, you're going to add another 5%. With stablecoin, you can do that. The second thing that is important for stablecoin is, of course, the hedge against the inflation in many of our countries. Post-COVID, we have about 12 to 15 African countries where inflation was above 20%. And so essentially, the fastest way to poverty increases is inflation.
The one thing I want to point out that she said was with the stable coin, it still costs $1. So remind me again, how much does it cost using XRP? That's right, less than a penny. And it happens in a matter of seconds, not minutes. You see why XRP will eventually be the cryptocurrency that they use. Sure, stable coins are great and it gets things moving, but later they'll all be using the secret sauce, XRP, because it's faster and cheaper than stablecoins as well. And she also said that there's tax when using the stablecoin, and they plan to implement more fees. So I look at it like this. Stablecoins are the gateway drug to XRP. A high school student was kidnapped and extorted for a payment of 50,000 euro in cryptocurrency. So this happened in France, but this could literally happen anywhere. The victim was a 17-year-old boy, most likely going to school and bragging to his friends how much he's making off of crypto. So, of course, his friends see him making money, or other people other than his friends hear him talking about this, and they want to take it from him. This is why you don't talk about your bag. This is why you don't brag about your bag all over social media. And I'm telling you, once you get rich, people that you talk to about getting into XRP for years, they're all going to be pissed off at you. They're going to hate you. They're going to wish bad things happen to you, because that's how people are. Never share your crypto holdings, and don't talk about it when you get rich. And until it happens, stay patient and stay positive as well. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.